Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm going to speak about the Uyghur Muslims in China. So, firstly, all of this for a long time, China has been completely denying these concentration camps, and we've been taking it as the truth. Then sometime later, then they say there are camps, but they're not the camps that people think they are. So so now from that we can tell we can't trust them because they lied in the first place by saying there's no camps at all. And when they got pushed, then they did say there's camps, but not the camps that we thought they had. So from that, I don't think. Well, for me, I wouldn't trust them, and I wouldn't say they deserve the benefit of the doubt because they lied in the first place. Now, 3 million Uyghur Muslims have been unjustly detained in Chinese concentration camps. International media says the number of Uyghur Muslims in the concentration camps is 1 million, while the US State Department says it's 2 million, and Uyghur rights organizations say it's closer to 3 million. China claims its facilities are re-education camps, but anyone who has come out of them confirms they are worse than prisons. So from that we know that that's proof that those camps aren't just re-education camps, and the treatment in there is inhumane, and China is just trying to hide it. Some of the things in these camps that people who have come out have said, and people who have seen footage have said: crowded cells with over 50 people in small containment rooms. There isn't even enough room for everyone to sleep. People take turns standing so others can sleep for a couple of hours. No toilets. With so many people stuck together in the same room without a toilet, they have to use a bucket for their toilet. Beatings. Almost all of the survivors of the camps reported beatings as punishment for the most trivial of offences. Even women have scars and marks of their beatings all over their bodies. Reproductive interference. Medicines are forcefully given to the women to stop their periods. In some women, they cause bleeding from the uterus. Several women survivors are being gang raped by guards at the facilities, some even during their teenage years. Emotional torture. A mother reported that she was made to see her missing child from a distance briefly before both of them were dragged away by their hair. A lot of them have died in the camps or shortly after they've come out. It's basically a slow way and a painful way of killing them so they can remove the Muslims, and that's what they looks like what they ultimately want. For many Uyghurs, the re-education ends in slow, painful death beyond the walls of an obscure facility. Roughly 130,000 Uyghurs die every 3 months according to an estimate. This figure excludes children, which is why Chinese government is doing everything it can to keep the programs shrouded in secrecy. They are isolated, limited to what they can do. They are constantly watched 24/7, stage visits, body disposal, and state propaganda. Here are some things that can get an Uyghur Muslim taken into the concentration camp: owning a tent, owning welding equipment, owning extra food. That sounds silly, which it is, which shows just how obsessed they are with taking people away, even with no offenses carried out. Owning a compass, owning multiple knives, abstaining from alcohol, which not just Muslims, a lot of maybe other religions abstain from alcohol, and even people who are allowed to drink alcohol or do drink alcohol, they might stop, for example, dry January, or they want to quit drinking, they stop as well. So why should that be an excuse to, because they don't drink alcohol, why should they be taken to those camps? Same with cigarettes, abstaining from cigarettes, people stop, or people don't because of religious reasons. So that's an absolute disgusting reason to take them to concentration camps. Walking publicly, grieving, acting sad when one's parents die, which is just, that's just not even that's, they don't even deserve to even justify that. I feel these people who make these rules, they're not human, because what kind of person makes those rules? Performing traditional funerals, again, traditional funerals, like, who stops them? Why should they be stopped? Inviting more than 5 people to your house without informing the police, which is just controlling people too much, and don't they have anything better to do? Wearing a scarf in the presence of Chinese flag, that's just silly, and that's just people who do wear scarves for religious reasons, or even without religious reasons. Why shouldn't they wear it? It's a freedom, and just because the Chinese flag is there doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to wear it. If anything, you should wear it more to show that the Chinese flag rappers, they can't do what they want. Wearing a hijab, if you're under 45, you can get taken to those camps. So if you're over 45, it's okay, but if you're under 45, it's not. Why is that? Like, wearing a hijab is wearing a hijab, so what does age have to do anything with it? And even then, why should anyone get taken away to those camps just because they're wearing a hijab? It shows that's definitely Islamophobia, whether you like it or not, whether you want to word it differently or read in between the lines or whatever. You can say re-education all you want. That's absolute bullshit. That's Islamophobia. Going to the mosque, praying, fasting, listening to religious lectures, telling others not to sin or swear, and eating breakfast before sunrise. So these are a lot of things Muslims do. Like, eating before sunrise could be because they're fasting, or staying away from sins, listening to Islamic lectures. This is clearly not re-education. This is clearly planned attack on Muslims to stop them practicing and take away their rights, disguised as re-education and stopping terror in their country, which is absolute bullshit again. And this might be a bit, you might think, oh, I'm just going on emotion or saying things that I could stay away from saying, but I'm saying it because that's how it is, and no one's been saying it like this, and that is just basically the Islamophobia, and everyone just disguising it as re-education. And people who come out, some of them, they get beaten up and they can't even walk properly. What kind of re-education is that? That's not re-education. That's just basically torturing and removing Islam from Muslims. Arguing with an official, sending a petition that complains about local officials, disallowing official. So that's stopping that. Even if the wrongdoing is going, they're stopping it, stopping people reporting it, just so nothing happens, because they know what they're doing is wrong, and they're stopping people from doing anything about it. Disallowing officials to sleep in your bed, eat your food, live in your house. Like, it's your house, so why should someone else live in it? And why should the officials sleep in your bed? Like, where are you gonna sleep? Or like, what's the need? That's just absolute nonsense. And why is that even a rule? Okay, the next set of things that they have set out why you can get taken away to those camps. not letting officials scan your iris, not letting officials download your phone contents, making voice recordings to give to officials, speaking your mother tongue in school. Like, if you're between students or friends that speak in that language, why shouldn't you speak? Maybe if you're speaking during lessons, then that could be, you could have an argument, but totally not speaking your other languages, that's just out of order, and that's just, they just want to remove that those languages away from those people. Like, slowly they won't say it, then they'll forget it, etc. Just because you know someone who has traveled abroad, you can get taken to those camps. So you haven't helped them, you haven't gone abroad yourself, you haven't done anything. Just because you know them, now you're in those camps. That's just listen to what I'm saying and think about yourself, how stupid these rules sound, and they shouldn't even be enforced at all. Going along those lines, watching a video filmed abroad that's similar, having WhatsApp, just for having an app that a lot of people around the world, billions of people have, and you can go to those camps because of having WhatsApp. Wearing a shirt with Arabic lettering on it, or wearing a full beard, again targeting Arabic Muslim things, clearly Islamophobia, and they're just doing it because they want to get rid of religion, specifically Islam and Muslims out of their society. They should just say that publicly. That's better than lying. But they obviously they're not gonna say that just because they look bad. They think they look bad, but they look bad already. They just think that they can hide it, and they're failing quite badly at the moment. Okay. BBC's Andrew Marr confronts Chinese ambassador with shocking footage of bound Uyghur Muslims. The Chinese ambassador to the UK dismissed allegations of abuse against the country's Uyghur Muslims after BBC's Andrew Marr confronted him with shocking footage that appeared to show blindfolded people waiting to be loaded onto trains. In the appearance on Mr. Ma's show, the Chinese ambassador suggested that the video footage, said to be from the northwestern province, which seems to show men kneeling blindfolded and waiting to be led onto trains, was fake. So you see footage and then you call it fake. Everything is fake. Someone's beating someone else is fake. Someone's doing this is fake. Everything's fake just because it's happening and you don't want people to see it. But apparently the concentration camps were fake, but now they do exist. So you can't believe any of the lies that you tell. It's not fake. It's real, and you're just lying again. The Chinese ambassador, he hit out at so-called Western intelligence, accusing US, UK and European governments of making repeated false allegations against China. He said there is no so-called massive forced sterilization amongst the Uyghur Muslims in China. It is totally against the truth. I cannot rule out single cases for any country. There is no such concentration camps in China. His comments come after British government and opposition figures hit out at alleged conduct of the Chinese government. Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab accused Chinese officials of committing gross abuses to the one of the Chinese provinces against the mostly Muslim Uyghur population. Mr. Raab insisted Britain wanted good relations with China, but said it could not stand by while abuses such as forced sterilizations and mass re-education camps took place. The reports of human aspects of it, from forced sterilization to the education camps, are reminiscent of something we have not seen from a long time. This from a leading member of the international community that wants to be taken seriously and in fact who we want as a positive relationship with, but we cannot see behavior like that and not call it out. Meanwhile, Shadow Foreign Secretary Lisa Nandy called on the government to use Britain's new independent sanctions regime to target individuals implicated in human rights abuses in China. They could do that tomorrow, she told the Andrew Marshall. But but the Chinese ambassador said it would be totally wrong for Britain now to impose sanctions on Chinese officials, and said Beijing was ready to respond if the ambassador said if the UK goes that far to impose sanctions on any individuals in China, China will certainly make a resolute response to it. You have seen what happened between China and the United States. They sanctioned Chinese officials. We sanctioned their senators, their officials. I do not want to see this tit for tat between China US happen in China UK relations. Again, he's going into political things and making threats, clear threats, and showing previous examples of what they have done just to silence us. But we shouldn't be staying silent. And I'm glad, even if the BBC is only speaking because of political reasons, they're still speaking, and it's being brought into to wider attention. Now you think a Muslim country would support the Uyghurs, but they're going against it. They support China, and this is what the Prince of Saudi Arabia has had to say. Mohammed ibn Salman, Saudi Arabia's crown prince, on Friday defended China's use of concentration camps for Muslims, saying it was Beijing's right. China has the right to carry out anti-terrorism and de-extremization work for its national security. Prince Mohammed, who has been in China signing multi-million trade deals, much to the annoyance of his Western allies, was quoted as saying on Chinese state television, told the Crown Prince that two countries must strengthen international cooperation on de-radicalization to prevent the infiltration and spread of extremist thinking. Well, first of all, just by simply being Muslim, is that a threat to your country, to countries? Is that what you're saying? Because that shows then, just by Saudi Arabia there's Muslim, just by them being Muslim citizens, he needs to get concentration camps in Saudi Arabia. Do you see how silly it sounds and how pathetic it sounds? Just because they're Muslims, we need to have camps for them. So in Saudi Arabia, why doesn't he have camps just because of people being Muslim? It doesn't make sense. He's just saying things. As I just said, he was going there for multi-million-pound trade deals. So obviously he's going to side with the country that he's going to do trade with, and he's not going to stick up for the Muslims because of his political agendas, which shows he just lacks any spine to support his own kind. And not to mention the journalist who was killed. I'm pretty sure Saudi has something to do with it. So that shows the extent of everything happening. And just to finish off, people like Mesut Ozil or Sufyan Faguli and other athletes who have spoken about why have they, just because they've spoken, why was China so rattled? Ozil, just one player, just because of him, they removed him from their games. So like FIFA and PES, they removed his character. They stopped showing Arsenal games just because of one player. If they're saying what is true, then it shouldn't bother them too much. But it clearly has bothered them that they had to stop showing Arsenal games and remove him. It has such an impact that they had to do that. They're clearly rattled because what they're hiding is coming. People are knowing about it now, and sooner or later, I really hope that they get sanctioned properly and these Uyghurs get justice.